distant memory breaks the quiet as dust motes drift across the piano keys. A sudden recollection, soft and bright, restores a distant summer to the breeze. The velvet curtains filter golden light upon a notebook filled with early schemes. Hear the cellos hum a gentle song, rewinding shadows where we used to run. We held a simple world where we belong before the evening parted from the sun. Catch the flickering projector film, spinning silver scenes of yesterday. Every youthful hope we tried to build remains untouched and never fades away. Through the swelling violins we fly to the dreams we painted on the sky. A teacup rests upon a mahogany stand. The needle glides along a vintage groove. I trace a line drawn by a youthful hand and feel the silent room begin to move. The map we sketched of oceans yet unknown gleams with the bravery we used to own. Hear the clarinets weave through the air, translating laughter into melodies. A time when every promise seemed sincere, and courage lingered in the balcony trees. Catch the flickering projector film, spinning silver scenes of yesterday. Every youthful hope we tried to build remains untouched and never fades away. Through the swelling violins we fly to the dreams we painted on the sky. Age may soften all the sharper lines and turn the wilder rivers into grace, but deep inside the heart, quiet design, youth keeps its permanent and sacred place. The oboe breathes a long final chord. The memory settles down like falling rain. Our younger hearts are quietly restored, and all those shining dreams remain. Just a quiet dream that still remains. Where does the sound go after the last string falls silent? I watch a single tea leaf spin inside my porcelain cup. We were 20, holding rolled up sheet music in the drizzle, running down the boulevard toward the conservatory doors, laughing because our shoes were completely soaked through, believing every melody in the world was composed for us. And now an oval plays somewhere down the corridor, or perhaps it is only the autumn breeze in the oak tree, drifting past the lace curtains on the window frame, bringing back the velvet cushion of our grandest hopes. Youth was a symphony played without a printed sheet, wildly out of tempo yet impossibly sweet. We threw our brightest dreams high into the theater rafters, never counting the cost, only chasing the echoes after. If I asked the quiet house where those young years spent, dried lavender and intent. Did we ever complete the painting stored in the attic? Cobalt blue, raw umber, a small train station in snow. You swore we would board a sleeper car to Vienna by May. So I purchased a heavy woolen coat with brass fasteners. The train never arrived, yet the ticket remains in my pocket, softened by time, still holding the heat of a promise. A chamber string trio drifts through my fading thought, blending softly with the ticking of the tall grandfather clock, gently turning back to those luminous parlor evenings when our pockets were light and our horizons were infinite. Youth was a symphony played without a printed sheet, wildly out of tempo yet impossibly sweet. We threw our brightest dreams high into the theater rafters, never counting the cost, only chasing the echoes after. If I ask the quiet house where those young years spent, it answers in the warmth of dried lavender and intent. Thought drifts like golden dust, molten late afternoon light. Is a dream only real during the hours you pursue it, or does it linger forever in the grain of the parquet floor? We were so rich in uncounted hours, so wealthy in unwritten songs, spinning across threadbare rugs without a single doubt in our hearts. Where does the sound go now? Into the dark mahogany of the piano frame, into the soft wool of an old favorite sweater, into this quiet cup of afternoon tea. We played every single note we were given, and the music stays right here, resting softly in the room. One yellow lead pencil stuck catches light beside my cold teacup this afternoon. Its graphite is dulled from the letters I wrote when 18 felt endless beneath a young moon. I count up the margins where sketches were born, the plans for a city of velvet and glass, and wonder if any small part of that boy is sitting right here as the shadows roll past. The cello plays low in the radio room, a gentle reminder that time moves along. I trace every line that I drew in the dark, and hear how my quiet heart hums the old song. For youth was a traveler running too fast, with pockets of ambition and promises made. We thought that the fire would constantly last before all the glittering colors would fade. Your dreams do not wither, they only turn soft, like linen worn down by a grandfather's hand. I carry the boy who looked up at the stars and finally start to understand. The paper was yellow before I grew wise. We wanted to conquer the world in a day. My brother spoke loud of the mountains to climb, while I held my sketchbook and wished I could stay. Now 60 years later, the pencil remains a tiny souvenir of courage once found. I smile at the scribbles of castles in air that landed so gently on sensible ground. The woodman spins softly across the parquet, a tapestry woven of sorrow and grace. I trace I drew long ago and see my young eyes looking back at my face. For youth was a traveler running too fast, with pockets of ambition and promises made. We thought that the fire would constantly last before all the glittering colors would fade. Yet dreams do not wither, they only turn soft, like linen worn down by a grandfather's hand. I carry the boy who looked up at the stars and finally start to understand. It is not a sadness to watch the sunset when evening is painted in amber and gold. The dreams of my 20s are living inside this quiet old heart that refuses to fold. I pick up the pencil and draw one more line, a circle of light for the hours ahead. For youth was a traveler running too fast, with pockets of ambition and promises made. We thought that the fire would constantly last before all the glittering colors would fade. Yet dreams do not wither, they only turn soft, like linen worn down by your grandfather's hand. I carry the boy who looked up at the stars and finally start to understand. The stub of yellow pencil rests once more. The teacup grows cold, but the memory stays warm. A boy and a man sharing one quiet room, safe from the storm, safe from the storm. Bicycle bell chimed twice through autumn rain, rattling the glass along our quiet lane. You turned your head and smiled that old familiar way, as if the years between us melted into yesterday. We sat with cups of tea beside the window pane, listening to children calling down the avenue again. Do you recall the plans we sketched in pencil lead? All those brave tomorrows waiting up ahead. We had no silver, but our thoughts were pure and bright. You were the dreamer with the world inside your chest, chasing every horizon, never taking rest. Though hair turns silver and the twilight softly falls, the melody of our young hearts still echoes in these walls. We lived so boldly when the world was wide and new. My dearest friend, I still believe in you. A street sweeper's broom scrapes soft against the curb, a gentle rhythm that no shadow can disturb. He spoke of painting oceans on a canvas sheet and walking barefoot where the earth and starlight meet. Time took its toll, yet grace remained inside your hands. We watched the seasons turn from green to gold and white, keeping every promise in the quiet night. We had no silver, but our thoughts were pure and bright. You were the dreamer with the world inside your chest, chasing I still believe in you. Let cello strings play softly for the paths we walked, and clarinets remind us of the nights we talked. Age is a tapestry of moments kept with care, and every dream you nourished is still living there. The bicycle bell fades distant down the street. The tea grows cool, the evening warm and sweet. You smile once more, the same bright spark remains inside. We walk through youth with open eyes and pride. My dear old friend, I still believe in you. Sugar drifted through the narrow alleyway, where young Leo polished up his worn leather shoes. He tucked a sketch pad underneath the patched wool sleeve, ignoring all the rain clouds in the morning news. The town clock struck 7 on the cobblestone. He stepped into the quiet and he walked alone, with silver in his pocket and a fire in his chest, knowing that the earnest heart is truly blessed. The wide world belongs to those who dare to lead, while the sleepy old valley was still fast asleep. He painted bright stars on a canvas of thread, following the music echoing inside his head. Cedarwood shavings dusted off his apron front, while the master tailor slept beside the iron stove. Leo carved a fiddle neck out of a sturdy ash that he carried from the hillside down inside the grove. The candle guttered low as the night grew cold, yet young ambition never felt frail or old. He pulled his collar close against the autumn rain, finding sweet comfort in the quiet strain. The wide world belonged to those who dared to lead, while the sleepy old valley was still fast asleep. He painted bright stars on a canvas of thread, following the music echoing inside his head. Decades turn like pages in a heavy gilded book. The grand orchestra plays melodies he wrote back then, yet sitting in the velvet seat he smiles at the past and smells that sweet kitchen air all over again. The wide world belonged to those who dared to lead, while the sleepy old valley was still fast asleep. He painted bright stars on a canvas of thread, following the music echoing inside his head. Burnt sugar in the air and a youthful refrain, a boy who chased a dream through the wind and rain. His boots upon the cobbles softly fade away into the gentle gold of a brand new day. does the dust go when it dances in the parlor light? It drifts past mahogany legs, floating into forgotten corners. My hand remembers holding a tin train, wind up key turning. Did we finish that geography chart before the bell rang? The cello hums a low G like the sound of the evening bus. We were going to build a telescope out of cardboard tubes, and the wallpaper rose petals never wilted, did they? Thoughts slipped like butter on warm toast, sliding away. I can still taste the peppermint drops we stole from the glass jar. We were so tall in our oversized wool coats. Youth is a melody played on a piano with two stuck keys. We ran through clover till our ankles turned green. Every dream was a kite tied to a very short string. We thought the string would stretch forever. Maybe it did. Somewhere past the garden gate, the tea bag steeps, turning amber like autumn leaves. I recall a blue ink stain on my index finger. You said we would move to France and paint bridges in gray mist. Did you ever find that tin box with the silver coins? A clarinet weaves through the hallway quiet. It feels like Tuesday in 1962, or maybe yesterday. The rain taps 3 times on the window pane. Memory is a pocket full of smooth river stones. We thought 25 was so old, so terribly far away. Now the clock just tick-tocks in soft legato. Youth is a melody played on a piano with 2 stuck keys. We ran through clover until our ankles turned green. Every dream was a kite tied to a very short string. We thought the string would stretch forever. Maybe it did. Somewhere past the garden gate, pencil marks on the door frame, measuring how tall we grew. 7 inches of childhood written in soft graphite. Stream of clouds passing the skylight, shaped like sleeping bears. What was the title of that book about the sailor boy? It doesn't matter. The chamber orchestra plays on, the violin bow sways like willow branches in May. Where does the dust go when the parlor lamp turns off? It settles on the piano keys, quiet and safe. We kept the kite string in our palms all along, just floating, floating through the warm afternoon. Still dreaming under the wallpaper leaves. A sudden ocean cuts through stillness, like rose and dust upon a wooden bow. The parlor clocking silent on the wallpaper, while dust motes drift in amber overflow. A yellowed photograph upon the mantelpiece unfolds a scene recorded years ago, where 2 young dreamers stood beside the harbor wall and swore their grandest plans would grow. Listen closely to the cello's gentle hum along the velvet where the lost years run. A quiet reverie takes over the room, dispelling cold winter's lingering gloom. We were painters of the evening sky, chasing silver ribbons flying high. We still walk the roads our longing led. Every dream we whisper to the stars is captured safe inside these sweet guitars. A symphony of youth that never fades away, living in the warmth of yesterday. The camera pans across the dusty floor to catch the sunlight on a gilded frame. An open notebook rests beside the teacup now, where ambitious signatures still wear a name. We drew our futures with a steady hand, plotting castles on the coastal sand, while clarinet and flute begin to play the melodies we carry through the day. Listen closely to the cello's gentle hum along the velvet where the lost years run. A quiet reverie takes over the room, dispelling cold winter's lingering gloom. We were painters of the evening sky, chasing silver ribbons flying high. Though our hair turns white like winter thread, we still walk the roads our longing led. Every dream we whisper to the stars is captured safe inside these sweet guitars. A symphony of youth that never fades away, living in the warmth of yesterday. The conductor lifts his slender wand, connecting then to all that lies beyond. Time is just a waltz we learn to dance, given life by one courageous chance. The violins swell up in golden light, restoring all our dreams to vivid sight. The projection fades, but warmth remains. Sweet French horns echo down the quiet lanes. Youth lives on within the heart's soft beat, where early memories and forever meet. Heavy oak presses back against my shoulders tonight as I settle into my seat. The solid weight of this armchair anchors me down while the oboe begins to play. I smooth a fresh sheet of parchment across my lap and dip the fountain pen. If this ink could travel across 50 years, I would send a quiet message back. You were 19, sitting on a wooden bench, terrified of what laid ahead. You worried the world would forget your melodies before you sang them. You stayed awake until midnight, counting every mistake you had not yet made. Listen, young traveler, you do not need to carry the whole sky at once. The lonely roads you walk tonight lead to gardens you have not yet imagined. Your quiet courage was always enough, even when the wind blew cold. Every small dream you planted will bloom in time. Just wait and see. I remember how tightly you held your coat against the November mist. You believed every closed door meant the end of your long symphony. If you could see this cozy room now, filled with soft strings and quiet light, you would set down your heavy books and laugh at how kindly things turned out. The cello hums low, a gentle companion to the story we share. Across the years, I forgive your frantic pacing, your hurried tears, your endless restless doubt. You brought me safely through the stormy seasons to this peace. scissors, stained glass onto our wooden tabletop. You pushed a saucer toward my hands and paused before the steam could stop. A stranger sitting by the quiet bay window, with worn leather gloves and a neatly folded coat. You asked me why I looked so far away into the fading glow. I laughed and said I was remembering 21, when every midnight felt like something just begun. You smiled a quiet smile that knew the very same, and asked if I still held that old forgotten flame. Youth is a melody that never really dies. It echoes in the questions living in our eyes. We trade our old ambitions like letters in the dark, to travelers keeping warm beside a sudden spark. The dreams we left behind us still shine across the floor, as gentle as the sunlight through an open door. You spoke of paints and canvas you had packed away in June, and how you wished to sail beneath a Mediterranean moon. I told you of my cello resting silent in its case, and how time moves along without a footprint or a trace. Yet sitting here with tea between two strangers on a train, the colors of our early days bloom brightly once again. We didn't catch each other's names before the whistle blew, but every word you shared was honest, kind and true. The years may silver hair and slow a hasty stride, but courage still remains inside. Youth is a melody that never really dies. It echoes in the questions living in our eyes. We trade our old ambitions like letters in the dark, to travelers keeping warm beside a sudden spark. The dreams we left behind us still shine across the floor, as gentle as the sunlight through an open door. Strings swell softly in the corner of my mind, for every promise that we thought we left behind. It doesn't matter if the grandest plans came true. The beauty was in daring to believe we knew. The conductor calls the final stop at dusk. You tip your hat and step into the evening dusk. Amber light stays glowing on the empty chair, and I carry all our youthful dreams into the quiet air. Coarse flannel lining catches my thumb, and suddenly 50 years fade away. I stand on the corner where we used to strum an old cheap guitar in the late light of May. The cello begins its slow, steady stride, unspooling the years like a ribbon of thread. We had no grand plan, just a fire inside, an endless bright sky stretching out ahead. We chased down the music before it could fade, with pockets of courage and nowhere to go. Every wild promise we carelessly made still shines in the quiet string quartet's glow. Time leaves its creases on coats that we wore, but you stays untouched at the heart of the song. The coat was too big, borrowed from Dan. The elbows were thin, but her spirit was brave. We mapped out the world on an old napkin plan, ignoring the shadows the winter night gave. Clarinet notes drift soft through the room, recalling the rhythm of boots on the stone. We step into night with our dreams in full bloom, believing we never would walk them alone. We chased down the music before it could fade, with pockets of courage and nowhere to go. Every wild promise we carelessly made still shines in the quiet string quartet's glow. Time leaves its creases on coats that we wore, but you stays untouched at the heart of the song. Now violins swell in a gentle refrain. I feel the rough weave beneath my right hand. The years may bring dust and a little soft rain, but the boy with the guitar still takes his grandstand. The flannel grows warm under my palm, a faint wet wingers, comforting calm. We dreamed very high and we loved very true. The music plays on forever with you. Uncle Arthur remarked beside the radiator that ambition is found in tiny things. A silver thimble resting by the window pane, a faded ribbon tying down worn violin strings, a train ticket stuffed from 1964, and faint scuff marks along the hallway floor. The cello hums a gentle low refrain as afternoon light softens through the pane. We gather up the details piece by piece, finding in small things a quiet peace. Youth was never a grand parade or a roaring storm, just a collection of little keepings that kept us warm. The polished button from an old school coat, the folded verse inside a forgotten note, a pocket full of pebbles washed by the stream. These small observations that built a dream. My sister noticed how the piano keys they chipped where we played waltzes that we barely understood. A pressed clover leaf inside a history book, and our initials carved deep in orchard wood. A spoonful of honey lingering in the jar, a paper lantern shaped like an autumn star. The oboe breathes a mellow, tender strain, like gentle sunshine following the rain. Each little artifact remains right here, holding the magic of an earlier year. Youth was never a grand parade or a roaring storm, just a collection of little keepings that kept us warm. The polished button from an old school coat, the folded verse inside a forgotten note, a pocket full of pebbles washed by the stream. These small observations that built a dream. We thought that longing needed distant skies, of brave adventures under foreign suns, but wisdom opens up our older eyes to love the quiet thread that runs and runs in tiny thimbles, chalk marks, dried up flowers. preserves all the magic of those vanished hours. Uncle Arthur's words still linger in the air. A copper coin, a strand of woven hair. The strings fade down to a single steady note on a list of treasures from an old wool coat. The Polish Roman 7 on the mantel clock shines warm. We will sit inside this room when 50 years have passed. The tea will steam in porcelain while winter brews a storm, and all the restless dreams of youth will rest in peace at last. I imagine your silver hair tied back with velvet thread, smile lines lingering deep around your eyes. We will talk of the wild young visions that we led underneath those wide and endless skies. In that distant parlor where the grand piano stands, we will hold the memories gently in our hands. Every dream we chased across the summer grass so green will bloom inside the quiet spaces in between. We were young and hopeful, fearless of the night, and age will only turn our passion into light. Will chime its gentle note across the hardwood floor. We will open up the trunk of sketchbooks and old rhyme. The map of everywhere we long to travel and explore will look so sweet and soft across the reach of time. I imagine the violin playing from the radio, dusk falling slow against the window pane. We will laugh at the silly tears we used to show, knowing sunshine always follows rain. In that distant parlor where the grand piano stands, across the summer grass so green will bloom inside the quiet spaces in between. We were young and hopeful, fearless of the night, and age will only turn our passion into light. Today the future feels so far and hard to see. I can picture every detail of our quiet sanctuary. Not a single wasted heartstring, not a single song misplaced. Just the beauty of the life that we embraced. The mantel clock strikes 7 in our imagined room. Outside the future window, winter blossoms bloom. Rest now, my dearest, The tiny blue glass marble lies beside my teacup today. It trapped the light of 20 years ago inside its curve. I used to carry grand designs upon my shoulders, believe in every highway, waited for my turn. The cello hums a gentle line against the velvet curtain, and I recall the foolish fire I swore would never fade. We were chasing wild horizon lines on borrowed bicycle wheels, sketching maps of future towns with bright unpracticed grace. Though the seasons quiet down and winter takes the garden, the dreaming boy inside my chest still runs his endless race. I hold the glass up to the lamp and watch the swirling cobalt. My hands are slower now but warm with all the miles I walked. I didn't conquer every peak I shouted at back then, yet every quiet valley held a song I learned to love. The woodwinds whisper through the hallway like a summer evening, reminding me that every promise found its honest place. We were chasing wild horizon lines on borrowed bicycle wheels, sketching maps of future towns with bright unpracticed grace. Though the seasons quiet down and winter takes the garden, the dreaming boy inside my chest still runs his endless race. Youth was never something lost, it settled in my bones, a steady melody that plays behind the parlor door. The grandest dream was simply learning how to live at ease, and finding beauty sitting on a weathered mahogany floor. The marble rests back on the table. I sip my tea in warmth. The song continues softly, still running, still mine. A distant tram bell echoes down the lane, and through the glass I watch the falling light. You used to sit beside this windowsill and sketch the city well into the night. Your charcoal fingers tracing every line, a world too big for any small design. We had no silver but we had our health, and foolish courage felt like endless wealth. Do you still keep that painted map, my friend? The one where every river found the sea. We thought our youth was something built to last, unbroken by the miles and years passed by. Hold to the dreams we carried in our coat. They keep us warm whenever winds blow cold. The corner busker packs his violin, the same old tune you hummed in '39. You spoke of oceans you would surely cross, and promised me a bottle of fine wine. Life took us down to different winding tracks, but gentle memories never ask for tax. silver, but we had our health, and foolish courage felt like endless wealth. Do you still keep that painted map, my friend? The one where every river found the sea. We thought our youth was something built to last, unbroken by the miles and years passed by. Hold to the dreams we carried in our code. They keep us warm whenever winds blow cold. Time softens every corner of the past as cello notes drift softly through the air. Nothing we wish for ever went to waste. It lives inside the quiet thoughts we share. Listen, the streetcar makes its final turn, a smile and send a greeting through the air. Keep dreaming, friend, wherever you are now. Our youth is waiting there. Temp cedar shavings sent the quiet air inside the shed where young Thomas used to stand. He carved his wooden gliders with meticulous care, a bottle of wood glue resting in his hand. He spoke of soaring past the highest hill, where clouds would catch his paper feathered wings. Though neighbors smiled and said the wind stood still, he hummed a tune that early ambition sings. The cello notes rise soft and low, a gentle pulse of strings from long ago. He held a heart too brave to stay on ground. In every draft a miracle was found. Oh, youth was a sky without a border, a pocket full of plans and boundless hope. He paid no mind to time or age or order, just running up the clover-covered slope. He chased a dream that floated on the breeze above the chimneys and the apple trees. His mother kept the blueprints on the shelf, where dust collected soft as linen thread. She remembered how he challenged fate itself with every simple word he ever said. He painted silk to make the rudder turn, and bound the spars with cordage made of hemp. A spirit bright enough to blaze and burn, unbothered by the evening cool and damp. The oboe joins the waltz of yesteryear and brings his laughter back so sweet and clear. For every dream a young heart dares to weave is something holy if we just believe. Oh, youth was a sky without a border, a pocket full of plans and boundless hope. He paid no mind to time or age or order, just running up the clover-covered slope. He chased a dream that floated on the breeze above the chimneys and the apple trees. Now decades pass like leaves upon the stream. The glider hangs inside the village hall, and children stop to marvel at the dream of one small boy who answered freedom's call. The wood has aged, the varnish turned to gold, yet one devotion never grows too old. Oh, youth was a sky without a border, a pocket full of plans and boundless trees. Damp cedar shaving scent the air tonight. The old shed sleeps beneath the quiet star. A young heart's dream still takes its noble flight and whispers softly to us where we are. An uninvited reflection breaks the velvet hush in the corner of a room washed in amber blush. The grand piano slumbers under lace and dust, where forgotten sheet music rests in quiet trust. We were 20 years of age with violin and cello, chasing echoes through the hall in shadows soft and yellow. Listen close, the wood still remembers every song, the harmonies we believed would carry us along. We played for the stars through the high arched glass, believing the summer could never fully pass. With fingers on the strings and hearts upon the stage, we wrote our wild youth on a golden bordered page. Though the tempo slowed down with the turning of the years, the melody remains through the laughter and the tears. The woodland section whispers as the curtains sway, a spotlight of twilight casts a silver ray. I see a polished flute catching candlelight. We promised we would conquer every stage in sight. No applause was needed in that dusty private hall, just the courage of our dreams hanging on the wall. Listen close, the room still holds that gentle chime, unbroken by the quiet shift of passing time. We played for the stars through the high arched glass, believing the summer could never fully pass. With fingers on the strings and hearts upon the stage, we wrote our wild youth on a golden border page. Though the tempo slowed down with the turning of the years, the melody remains through the laughter and the tears. Now cello bows are rested in their velvet cases, yet music still lingers on these cherished faces. Youth was never lost, it simply changed its key, a lifelong symphonic waltz for you and me. The silence folds back in, warm and complete, as mid-staccato raindrops tap upon the street. Still playing for the stars, our youth played for the stars. In the quiet room, the song lives on. What happens to the unread letters left floating on a quiet pond? I wonder if the water keeps their ink, or if the words dissolve into the reeds. The way 18 slipped into 35, a cello note is leaning on the wall, soft and amber like warm marmalade. We wanted to compose a grand concerto, didn't we? The sheet music fell off the stand, and now the quiet dust plays the melody instead. And my mind just drifts from the parlor floor to an overgrown field, running with open palms, trying to catch the breeze before it turns cold. on the cobblestones. Nobody answers, only the grandfather clock tick-tock, a slow waltz for forgotten slippers. I was gonna build a telescope, I remember to map out stars that had no names. Instead I planted tea roses in the yard, and somehow that felt like universe enough. The violin hums low in my mind today, a bed of crimson, a bed of gold. Thought moves like steam rising from a porcelain cup, blurring the edges of then and now, until I am 17 again under the elm tree. Dreams were big as rainstorms, soaking through our linen coats. We were young and foolishly brave, chasing shadows on the stone bridge. And though the years move like gentle rivers, carrying off the golden thread, a piece of the laughter stays right here, folded neatly in my chest. Who decides when youth is over? Not the calendar, surely not the mirror. It is just a room we step out from, leaving the balcony door wide open, so the warm evening light can follow us down the hallway. Listen, the flute is playing that half-forgotten song again. A question floating in the dusk, unanswered, untroubled, at peace. We dream so sweetly, and the dream is still warm. Dear mahogany creaks beneath my frame as I sit down to write. The velvet cushion knows how long I have contemplated tonight. I dip my pen to send a note across 60 long years to an eager boy who worried about his quiet fears. You stood beside the music stand, wondering if you would fly. I watch you now through foggy glass and softly tell you why. The cello warm and steady plays a slow descending line. Every hour you spent dreaming turned out just fine. Dear younger soul, we think upon your thumb. Do not rush the music that has yet to come. You thought the world would measure every step you tried to take, but beauty lives in every simple choice you choose to make. Keep your paper ships upon the rising stream. There is plenty of time to build your dream. You worried if the hall would hear your shyly whispered tune. You stayed awake till midnight beneath the silver moon. I see your handwritten pages tucked inside the wooden desk. You thought that growing older was a cold and heavy test, but love arrived in ordinary coats and worn out shoes, and there was never half as much to lose. The oboe joins the violins in rich autumnal gold. The finest stories are the ones that take their time to unfold. Dear younger soul, we think upon your thumb. Do not rush the music that has yet to come. You thought the world would measure every step you tried to take, but beauty lives in every simple choice you choose to make. Keep your paper ships upon the rising stream. There is plenty of time to build your dream. I know you fear the quiet days when The armchair holds me warm tonight. The letter now is sealed. The grandest truths of living are in quiet moments revealed. Be kind to yourself, my dear friend. It turned out lovely in the end. The song was sweet right from the start. Saffron light filters through stained station glass, casting warm amber across the waiting row. An elderly woman with a velvet purse asks if the 5 o'clock train runs slow. I tell her the schedule is rarely on time. She chuckles and adjusts her woven shawl. We spend our whole youth in a hurry, she says, chasing bright shadows that never fall. The cello notes drift from a street performer's bow, rich and melodic in the terminal hall. She leans back softly and closes her eyes, listening close as the memories call. Tell me, young soul, what you dream of today? She asks with a voice like an old cello string. Is it glory or love, or a quiet little house, or the simple sweet courage that April can bring? For the wildness of youth is a garden in bloom, and the dreams that you plant never truly depart. They just alter their shape as the seasons roll by, living safe in the room of your heart. Hunting rays tilt across polished oak floors as she tells me of brushes she used to hold. She wanted to capture the sky in full flight before time smoothed the edge of her boldest gold. I never became what the critics praised high. She smiles as she turns her worn silver ring, but I painted the world as I felt it back then. And there's joy in the song that you dared to sing. A woodwind quartet joins the cello nearby, warming the air with a delicate grace. The evening grows soft in the gallery light, reflected so gently upon her kind face. Tell me, young soul, what you dream of today? She asks with a voice like an old cello string. Is it glory or love, or a quiet little house, or the simple sweet courage that April can bring? For the wildness of youth is a garden in bloom, and the dreams that you plant never truly depart. They just alter their shape as the seasons roll by, living safe in the room of your heart. The whistle blows distant, the platform grows clear. Two strangers united by thoughts of the past. She gives me a nod and a small knowing smile, a moment of beauty that's tailored to last. Keep dreaming, she whispers, and never hold back. Youth isn't a year's count, it's how bright you burn. The conductor calls out as the whistle blows along. The saffron light settles on coat sleeves and floor. I watch her step on board with grace in her stride, carrying dreams to a welcoming shore. Her quiet words linger as train wheels roll on, living safe in the room of your heart. Yesterday your grandmother said that young hearts never rust, while wiping off the sideboard with a rag of cotton dust. A chipped porcelain teacup sits beside a silver spoon, and 3 dried violet petals catch the quiet afternoon. The pendulum swings heavy in its dark mahogany case, leaving tiny trails of shadow on the floral wallpaper lace. Here is a ribbon tied around an old brass key, and a folded paper sailboat floating in a cup of tea. Every little remnant holds a secret left behind of the wild and hopeful notions that we used to keep in mind. Youth is in the stitches of a hand-sewn velvet vest, in the blue-lined notebook pages where our early wishes rest. Who lingers in the corner where the cello learns to hum, waiting for the springtime and the simple joys to come. We gather up these treasures just to prove that we were bold, listening to the gentle truth your grandmother told. A pair of scuffed brown leather shoes rest neatly near the door, beside a ball of yellow yarn spilled out across the floor. The margin of an atlas bears a pencil mark from June, where someone traced a sea route beneath the silver moon. An oval pewter button lost its coat of shiny paint, yet shines inside the sewing box, resilient though faint. Here is a ticket stashed away inside a dusty coat, and a half-remembered melody written on a postcard note. Every tiny fragment holds a spark that didn't die, of the grand ambition shining in a 20-year-old eye. Youth is in the stitches of a hand-sewn velvet vest, in the blue-lined notebook pages where our early wishes rest. It lingers in the corner where the cello learns to hum, waiting for the springtime and the simple joys to come. We gather up these treasures just to prove that we were bold, listening to the gentle truth your grandmother told. The window pane is smudged right where a forehead used to lean, looking out for wonders that were waiting to be seen. A thimble full of brass buttons, a dried fern leaf in ink. We are richer than we realized, much richer than we think. A ticking clock, a ball of thread, a dried fern on the shelf. Every little object tells a story to itself. Yesterday she said it, and today I know it's true. The dreams we carried long ago are living in me and you. Woven twill wraps my fingers softly, a threadbare cuff from a forgotten year. The ribbed navy wool feels unchanged today, pulling me back to a hallway clear. I was 18 with an audition card, standing beside the stage door's iron latch. A solo cello starts to hum its tune, drifting across 40 years of afternoon. The scent of rosin fills the quiet air, and suddenly I am standing there. We were always reaching for the balcony, singing our dreams out to the velvet seats. We had no silver, but our hearts were grand, holding the future in a trembling hand. The cello swells and the years dissolve away. Youth is a melody that longs to stay. Soft cotton lining against my wrist recalls the nights when the brass band played. We polished our shoes in the narrow alleyway, never afraid of the debts we made. We wrote down lyrics on napkin scraps back then, promising to return as famous men. The clarinet joins in a gentle glide, waking the hopes that we kept inside. The stage light warms up the cold wooden floor, and I am 21 once more. We were always reaching for the balcony, singing our dreams out to the velvet seats. We had no silver, but our hearts were grand, holding the future in a trembling hand. The cello swells and the years dissolve away. Youth is a melody that longs to stay. Time weaves its pattern in silver gray hair, yet touch this old cloth and the boy is still there. The applause may have to quiet halls, but the orchestra echoes where memory falls. Frayed navy cuffs in the quiet light, the violins whisper goodnight. Still reaching for the balcony, still singing endlessly. The number 8 upon the pendulum clock gleams quietly beside our teacups now, and 50 years have softened every shock that once sat heavy on a youthful brow. I see us sitting in this future room, with silver hair and stories left to tell, beside the window where white roses bloom, knowing our restless youth turned out so well. The cellos play a gentle evening air, a waltz of years we used to run across. We kept the promises we spoke back there, and gained much more than any sudden loss. Oh, someday when the grand orchestra plays the quiet anthem of our silver age, we'll look back on those frantic, hopeful days and smile at every wild and scribbled page. Our youngest dreams will rest in peaceful hands, like folded letters kept inside a drawer, when we have reached these calm and quiet lands, where heavy hearts don't worry anymore. The brass face shows the numeral of 5 when afternoon surrenders to the dusk, and all the visions that kept us alive are sweeter now than old lavender and musk. We dreamed of mountains that we'd one day climb, we painted maps across a tiny desk, now standing at the golden edge of time. The grand design feels simple, picturesque. The clarinets hum soft against the wall, tracing the lines we carved so long ago. We answered every bright and daring call, and reaped the seeds we dared to bravely sow. Oh, someday when the grand orchestra plays the quiet anthem of our silver age, we'll look back on those frantic, hopeful days and smile at every wild and scribbled page. Our youngest dreams will rest in peaceful hands, like folded letters kept in daring to begin. The number 8 strikes slow and sweet tonight, a gentle promise of what lies ahead. We'll walk into that future warm and bright, living the lovely dreams we bravely said. Plucked violins fade out into the dark, and our future rests in